I'm Cristina Marinetti and I'm a reader in translation studies here at Cardiff. I teach on the MA translation, but I'm also director of the PhD program. Doing an MA translation doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to become a translator. We've had students, for example, who've ended up becoming journalists who now work in Brussels and report on European news that links to things like the environment and sustainability. We've had students who've ended up having a career in things like advertising, because it's just so important in advertising to be able to target your message in a way that speaks to your audience. Obviously, translation and languages are not necessarily just linked to the profession, but they can also inspire you to want to go and inspire other people to study translation, study languages. Every time you write anything or you say anything in our globalized, mediatized world, it will get translated. Yeah? If you publish anything, it will automatically very often reach audiences that are way beyond the people that you're necessarily speaking to in your own language. So translation is all around us. Now, one of the things that I teach on the MA translation is a module called Translation as a Creative Practice. And this is where we really have the opportunity to reflect on what it means to engage with the translation. And so we work on reflecting about who is translation for, what experiences, very human, embodied experiences, accompany the process of writing texts, and how do we as translators learn how to recreate those experiences so that the texts that we create actually speak to human. We try to cover as much of a variety of different texts and different technologies as we can. So we have students engage with all sorts of different types of texts. I, for example, am an expert in translating for the theatre, but also translating script for films. But we have students also working on translating for video games, for example, which is massively popular, especially in terms of localizing different games for broad markets. We have a lot of Chinese students coming to us wanting to study localization. Well, why study the MA in translation studies? I think the most honest answer is it's a lot of fun. I always have a huge amount of fun with students. Translation is about really understanding yourself as well as understanding others. By trying to understand others, their ways of thinking, their experiences, their ways of expressing it themselves, their cultures, is the only way in which you can begin to really understand yourself.